In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on November 4th, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Penn State versus Maryland. The Penn State Nittany Lions will journey south to face the Maryland Terrapins in a late-season Big Ten matchup at the University of Maryland. Penn State, with only 1 loss on the season to top-ranked Ohio State, has a significant challenge in front of them as they prepare to face top-ranked Michigan in their next game. On the other hand, Maryland started the season strongly with a 5-0 record but has faltered with 3 consecutive losses. Penn State's form has been somewhat inconsistent in recent weeks, and even though they won their last game, it wasn't a commanding performance. In their halftime clash with Indiana, they held a modest lead of 17-14 and struggled to pull away. Quarterback Drew Aller completed 20 of his 31 passes for 210 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. In a game 2 weeks ago against Ohio State, Aller faced difficulties. To finish the season strong, Penn State will rely on his performance. On average, Penn State scores 39 points per game, while their defense stands as the 3rd best in college football, conceding an average of 11.5 points per game. Maryland enters the game with a 5-3 record, but their fortunes have taken a downturn. After an impressive 5-game winning streak to start the season, they have lost 3 consecutive games, including their last encounter against Northwestern. In that game, Maryland managed to score 27 points, but their defense allowed a dismal Northwestern team to score 33 points. Taulia Tagovailoa completed 30 of his 47 passes for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. On average, Maryland scores 33 points per game, and their defense allows 20 points per game. Penn State is the less than 10-point road favorite in this matchup. After starting the season with 7 straight wins against the spread, they have faced 2 consecutive losses in that department. In their past games, except for the 2 recent games against Ohio State and Indiana, they have comfortably defeated their opponents by a substantial margin. Conversely, Maryland stands at 3-5 and has suffered 3 consecutive losses against the spread. For Maryland, their previous game against Northwestern was a tough loss as they fell to a team with a 4-4 record, despite being favored by more than 2 touchdowns. In a surprising turn, Northwestern's defense was able to sack Tagovailoa 6 times during the game. Following his recent struggles, Tagovailoa will need to rebuild his confidence against Penn State, a team known for its strong defense. The Nittany Lions have been averaging over 2 sacks per game this season and managed to sack Tagovailoa 4 times in their game against Maryland last year. Speaking of their game last year, Penn State's defense shut down Tagovailoa and the Terps' offense, securing a 30-0 victory as 11-point favorites. In that game, Tagovailoa was limited to 74 passing yards and suffered a loss of 45 yards rushing due to the strong penetration of Penn State's defense. Given Penn State's solid rushing defense and their ability to disrupt the passing game, holding opposing quarterbacks to a mere 30% completion rate, Maryland is likely to face difficulties establishing any offensive rhythm. Also, after a disappointing game against Indiana last week, Penn State is unlikely to underestimate Maryland in this matchup. Despite the potential challenge posed by Michigan the following week, the Nittany Lions are not expected to overlook Maryland, especially after their loss to Ohio State and their less-than-stellar performance against Indiana. As the Terps have struggled after their 5-0 start, the support for their team has dwindled. Additionally, Penn State boasts a superior team. While the Nittany Lions' offense was steady but not overwhelming against Indiana, they managed 342 total yards, 4.6 yards per play, and 19 first downs. Defensively, Penn State was solid, allowing 269 passing yards, forcing 2 turnovers, conceding 14 first downs, and holding opponents to a 3-of-1 rate on 3rd downs. This season, Penn State has allowed 15 or fewer points in 6 of their 8 games, leaving limited room for Maryland to score. On the other hand, Maryland posted a decent offensive effort against Northwestern but ultimately fell short. The Terrapins have allowed 27 or more points in each of their past 3 games, making it challenging for for them to keep up if Penn State's offense takes off. So the Penn State Nittany Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. In the recent series of games between Penn State and Maryland, except for 2020 when Maryland won 35-19, Penn State has held Maryland to an average of 6 points per game from 2022 to 2017. In 2020, Tagovailoa was limited to 74 passing yards. When playing on the road, Penn State has allowed just 20 points to Ohio State, 13 to Northwestern, and 13 to Illinois. Maryland allowed 27 points to Illinois, but only 17 to Indiana at home and 9 points to Michigan State. The total line set by the book for this match is the lowest in the last 5 years. This is likely because the games between these two teams have consistently fallen below the total. In fact, the under has prevailed in these matchups for 5 consecutive years. Penn State typically scores an average of 39 points, while Maryland scores just slightly less with an average of 31. In this game, Penn State will be facing a tougher defense than they have encountered for most of the year, except for Ohio State. Penn State will utilize their diverse rush and pass attack to put points on the board, but they may fall short of their usual average. The last time Maryland faced a defense similar to Penn State's was against Ohio State a couple of weeks ago. In that game, they managed to score 17 points. Except for the last 2 games against Ohio State and Indiana, no team has scored more than 15 points against Penn State this season. Considering the struggles of the Maryland quarterback and Penn State's knack for getting into the backfield, this matchup is likely to result in diminished scoring for the Terrapins. It will be a more challenging test for Maryland this week, and they are expected to score similarly to the game they played against Ohio State, landing near the 17-point mark. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Missouri versus Georgia. It's a collision course between the top 2 teams in the East Division of the Southeastern Conference as they meet up down in the Peach State. The number 12 Missouri Tigers are on the road as they make the trip to take on the number 2 Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday afternoon. Missouri comes in off a bye last week. The Tigers dismantled South Carolina 34-12 at home in their previous contest on October 21st, covering the line as a 7-point favorite October 21st. Georgia walloped Florida 43-20 in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party in a game played in Jacksonville last Saturday, covering the line as a 14.5-point favorite. In the all-time series between the programs, the Bulldogs own a commanding 11-1 advantage and have won the last 9 meetings, including a 26-22 road win in the most recent matchup on October 1, 2022. Georgia comes into this game looking to keep their undefeated season alive, but they will play a very strong Missouri team here. The Tigers lost to LSU, but they have played very well in their other 3 Southeastern Conference games. Georgia has struggled at times this year, but they have dominated Kentucky and Florida in 2 of their last 3 games. There is a case to be made that Georgia's still an overvalued team, despite the slight of not being number 1 despite not being beaten forever. They just haven't played anyone good enough to not think their great statistical profile isn't a little inflated. Throw in a win streak that spans multiple campaigns, and oddsmakers don't really have a choice but to possibly shade spreads to Georgia's side. A 3-5 against the spread record this season would suggest there is some truth to that, as with the fact that 8-7 against the spread record last year still puts them below .500 during their last 23 games. Georgia has allowed an average of 17 points per game this year against Southeastern Conference rivals, and that's with the majority of those teams currently sitting in the bottom half of the conference. This Missouri team is no joke, as Georgia found out a year ago. And with the first-hand lessons the Tigers took from that loss, this game could end up being Georgia's biggest regular season scare for the 2nd consecutive season, and it's one they may not survive if some bounces go against them. Considering Missouri closed at plus 1.5 at Kentucky, the presumption there is that the Tigers would have been favored had that been a home game. And here they are in the same spot as that Kentucky team, on the road at Georgia, and are catching more points, all while being the better football team playing the better football right now. The Georgia Bulldogs are the better team, obviously, and haven't lost at home in 4 years, so they should be favored. However, this line feels inflated a bit. The Missouri Tigers are a more than respectable opponent that has 2 road wins and a top 25 offense. Missouri has one of the better quarterbacks in the county and a defense that's top 30 against the run. This is the first time this season Missouri is a double-digit dog. Just throwing out a large number just because it's Georgia seems a bit disrespectful. Missouri gave Georgia all they could handle last year, and I think that will be the case once again here. So the Missouri Tigers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. With the belief that Georgia's defense numbers are slightly overvalued given the general weakness of their competition, I have to believe that Missouri's offense will be the best of the bunch. That's a bunch that has put up 20 or more in 4 of Georgia's last 5 games already, and Missouri brings the nation's best red zone scoring percentage into town. So penciling in the Tigers for at least 20 points here is a very realistic expectation. And last year's game taught Missouri they'll likely need 30 plus to have a shot at the outright win. Georgia's offense will get theirs as well, and should the Bulldogs ultimately come away with a huge blowout statement win, points are likely to come in bunches for them along the way. Georgia knows it can't come out to the same slow start they had in this game a year ago, where they could only get 2 field goals in the first half as drives stalled out or ended with a turnover. Georgia settled for some field goals there as well, with each of their first 4 scoring drives coming via the field goal. I expect that to change for the Bulldogs just as I expect it to change for Missouri in this return contest, and this year's total is currently sitting exactly where last year's ended, 54.5. 9 of 12 scoring drives a year ago ended with a field goal, and they were still only a touchdown short of the total. I think we get many more touchdowns from both sides in this year's game, where 30 plus for both sides is a real possibility. Missouri comes into this game having seen the overhit in 6 of their 8 games this season. The Tigers went over the total in both their road games this season, beating Vanderbilt and Kentucky by identical 38-21 scores to go past the number of 53 and 50.5 in those outings. Georgia has seen the over go 5-3 in their 8 games this season. The Bulldogs have stayed under the total in 3 of their 5 home games this season, though they have gone past the number in each of their last 2. With both teams excelling on offense, this game winds up going over the total. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. California versus Oregon. In an anticipated Pac-12 showdown, the California Golden Bears are set to take on the number 6 Oregon Ducks on Saturday night. The Golden Bears come into this game after a nail-biting 50-49 loss to number 24 USC, while the Ducks arrive with momentum, following their dominant 35-6 victory on the road against number 13 Utah last week. Oregon boasts a strong 7-1 record for the season and demonstrated their prowess in the previous game against Utah, where they secured a 29-point victory with a 35-point performance. Quarterback Bo Nix completed 24 of 31 passes for 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. Adding to their impressive offensive display is running back Bucky Irving, who has amassed 732 yards and 8 touchdowns on 101 carries. The Ducks average a remarkable 45.5 points per game, and their defense has been equally impressive, allowing just 16 points per game. On the other side, the California Golden Bears bring a 3-5 season record, with their most recent game against USC showcasing their offensive potential. Cal managed to score 49 points against USC but were outscored 21-13 in the 4th quarter, leading to a heartbreaking 50-49 loss. Quarterback Fernando Mendoza completed 25 of 39 passes for 292 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Jaden Ott contributed significantly with 153 yards and 3 touchdowns from 21 carries. Cal's offense averages 32 points per game, but their defense ranks 120th in college football, conceding an average of 33.5 points per game. Their defense will face a stern test against Oregon. The point spread for this game opened at 23.5 and has since climbed to 24.5 on some sports books, indicating strong support for the Ducks. Riding high on their 6th place ranking in the college football playoff rankings, Oregon is in a formidable position. Bo Nix and the potent Oregon offense are poised to exploit Cal's defense, which allows opponents to accumulate over 400 yards and 33 points per game. Oregon's offensive juggernaut, averaging almost 550 yards and 46 points per game, is likely to shine in this matchup. Cal, on the other hand, may struggle to keep pace with Oregon's offense, resulting in a one-dimensional offensive strategy predominantly reliant on passing. Unfortunately, Cal's strength lies in its running game, which may be sidelined in this game. California Golden Bears have navigated a challenging schedule, suffering 4 losses in their last 5 games, all against ranked opponents. The Golden Bears have struggled to keep these games competitive, experiencing double-digit losses in 3 of their last 4 defeats. In contrast, the Oregon Ducks are one of the nation's premier teams and delivered a commanding 35-6 victory against a ranked Utah team. Furthermore, California's defense, ranked 117th in pass defense in the Football Bowl subdivision, is ill-equipped to handle Oregon's potent passing offense, orchestrated by Bo Nix, which ranks 10th in the nation. California's strength, relying on their running game, may also be neutralized by Oregon, renowned for their exceptional run defense, allowing just 95 rushing yards per game. So the Oregon Ducks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Despite California's challenging schedule, they have displayed a capable offense that can perform well against strong opponents. Notably, they scored over 30 points against Washington and more than 40 against Oregon State and USC. Additionally, the Oregon Ducks have consistently posted impressive numbers, scoring at least 34 points in every game this season and averaging a remarkable 54 points in their 4 home games. Given their offensive prowess, Oregon is poised to continue their prolific scoring against a vulnerable California defense, which allowed over 50 points in 2 of their last 3 games. The over has been successful in 4 of the Golden Bears' last 5 games. The total for this game opened at 57 and has since risen to 59.5, reflecting sharp interest in the over, with Oregon's offense averaging nearly 46 points per game this season, and considering California's offensive capabilities, which encompass approximately 420 yards and 32 points per game. Both teams are likely to contribute to a high-scoring affair. Even with Oregon's impressive defense, Cal may still generate points, particularly as they emphasize their run game. The dynamic interaction between these teams is anticipated to result in a high-scoring game, marking the conclusion of their regular seasons. Over the projected total ISO or full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.